And for more detail on his crucial first budget, I spoke to the Treasurer Kim Wells at Parliament House late this afternoon. Well, Kim Wells, thanks for joining 7:30.
Pleasure.
In opposition, you were highly critical of Labor's debt, and yet in your first budget, debt is set to more than double, and you failed to deliver a promised debt reduction plan. Are you just procrastinating?
No, let me explain the issue of debt. We've had $4.1 billion of shortfalls in GST from the Gillard-Swan government. We've had $2 billion of cost overruns, plus $550 million of Commonwealth deferred payments. So $6.5 billion that has hit this budget. So that's a significant amount. So we had a choice to make. Do we deal with debt in year one, or do we deliver our election commitments? We decided that we had to deliver on our election commitments, and we have. If we had have dealt with the debt in year one, there would have been significant job losses, increase in taxes, and we were not prepared to do it. Delivering our election commitments was our priority.
When you say dealing with debt, you commissioned a report from 3 highly respected economists who've said that you should actually eradicate state debt in the next 10 years. Will you do that?
Look, as I said today, what we'll be doing is making sure we have a debt management plan and putting that in place. I would have loved to have had it done by now.
When do you think you will do it by?
Well, I would have loved to have had it done by now. But the problem is that when we were hit with the GST, the cost overruns, we're getting flooded with financial problems. So over the next few months, once this budget has been bedded in, we will then work very hard on a debt management plan, and I think that's fair, because you cannot continually rely on debt to fund projects. It is unrealistic.
You've cut more than $600 million in what you call the back room of government departments, but they include departments such as health and education. Can you guarantee that not one job will be lost as a result?
What happened in the run-up to the election, we promised, we made it clear that there will be $1.6 billion worth of savings. When we started the budget process, we had to dig deeper into those savings. So there's another $600 million. So yes, you're right, it's $2.2 billion of savings over the forward estimates period. But the result of jobs is actually there will be an actual increase of 4,000 jobs across the public sector over the 11-12 year.
But as a result of those backroom cuts, will anyone lose their jobs?
Well, we're actually adding to the public sector,
but not as a result of those $600 million cuts to department programs and grants and that sort of thing. Will anyone out of that specific set of savings lose a job?
Well, the reality is that there will be some programs that will be lapsing, and people will move from that program to a program that we are commencing. So there will be transfers within the public service, but that goes on all the time. But the bottom line is that there'll be 4,000 more jobs in the public sector over the 11-12 year.
Your unallocated money goes from about $300 million this year to nearly $2 billion just before the next election. Is that a substantial war chest you're building?
No, what's happening is that we needed to make sure that we have about 1% of gross state product allocated to infrastructure. So we had to make sure that we had that unallocated amount to make sure that we are building infrastructure to keep pace with population.
Well, on population growth, clearly that's one of your biggest challenges, and yet one of the biggest infrastructure projects for the state, the regional rail link, hasn't got any specific funding in this year's budget. Why not?
We've actually put about $1 billion into the regional rail in the 11-12 year. That was put in there previously. But, I mean, once again, the regional rail is a very important project. The problem is that there is a significant cost overrun even before it went out to tender.
But when will people know the money that you plan to put into that project to kickstart it? Yeah,
no, there's an allocation of infrastructure spend of about $6 billion, and part of the regional rail is in that $6 billion for the 11-12 year.
On another big project, Mikey, did you intend to drop a bombshell today when you said, when we take ownership of Mikey, we want to make sure it works?
The situation is that we're in negotiations, and it's a difficult situation, Mikey.
But that seemed to indicate that you actually will keep it on.
Well, there's a significant amount of negotiations that are taking place, and this is a difficult mess that we've inherited. And when you look at it, you think, okay, we should be able to fix this. And as you dig deeper and deeper into Mikey, it becomes more of a financial mess. And that's why we're taking the time to try and make sure that we are able to sort it out one way or the other.
Treasurer, this is the first interview you've done in quite some time. Interest groups also said they couldn't meet with you prior to the budget, and Labor described you as missing in action. Do you think you mishandled the pre-budget publicity by becoming part of the story yourself?
A couple of things. I think I've met with most of the groups. I mean, there were some reports in the paper over the weekend which are just blatantly wrong. In fact, in one case, one of the organisations actually cancelled the meeting themselves. So, I mean, there was a bit of misreporting, which is very disappointing. But look, I'm the Treasurer. I'm the Treasurer of this great state. And we have to make sure that this budget is right.
Finally, does the government have faith in Chief Commissioner Simon Overland, given Victoria Police appears to have capitulated to the Labor government's pressure last year to release misleading crime statistics?
That's a question for the Police Minister.
But as Treasurer, you've just poured a lot of money into the police budget. Do you have faith in Simon Overland?
Well, we are looking at 1,600 new police plus 100 transit police, plus we have the 940 PSOs. So law and order and community safety was one of the big ticket items, and we expect the police force to be able to deliver on our election commitments. Do
you have faith in Simon Overland?
Well, the government has the respect and has faith in the Chief Commissioner.
Kim Wells, thanks for your time.
Pleasure.
And I'm joined now in the studio by Shadow Treasurer Tim Holding. Tim Holding, thanks very much for coming in tonight.
It's great to be on the program, Chasey.
Firstly, the budget. The job and service cuts that you were anticipating didn't seem to materialise. Did you misread the government's signals?
Well, the government said it would be a budget devoid of spin, and in fact, if we listen to the Treasurer just then and if we read the budget documents today, we see that it's a budget that's built around spin. They've spent a lot of time trying to trash the record of the previous government, but the budget that they've delivered today really accepts many of the economic settings that the previous government put in place. So I think really it was a disappointing budget in many respects.
In what way though? Because welfare groups, for